Welcome to Tea at Taxevity, where you meet people who make life better, our clients and friends. My name is Pramod Sharma, and our guest today is Julie Bond, the president of Bond Consulting Group, and we are demystifying SRED. Welcome, Julie.
Hi, pleasure to be here.
In a sentence or two, what do you do?
Well, we do SR&ED consulting. Sometimes it's called SRED consulting. We are facilitators. We translate between our clients and the government on what is most likely the most complicated tax government program in Canada.
Okay, and that's why you're an ideal guest for our topic today. Now, so please explain to us what SR&ED is.
Well, Scientific Research and Experimental Development is the name of the program, and it just happens to be the largest and most complicated tax incentive program in Canada. It stands for Scientific Research and Experimental Development, like I said, and it is a tax incentive program for corporations inside of Canada that meet certain eligibility requirements and spend certain eligible expenditures within a corporation.
Okay, and is this a brand new program or has it been around for a while?
No. SR&ED is a cornerstone of the Canadian economy. It's been around for about 30 years, since the 80s.
Okay, and how much money is involved in a program like this?
Well, there's no budget because it is part of the Income Tax Act. So the program will ebb and flow depending on number of applicants that put in any given year and number of approvals in any given year.
Mm-hmm.
But the program has grown considerably in size. It was up to $4 billion at one point, and statistically it looks like it's more around the $3 billion, but it may be going up again. We'll have to see where the statistics go.
Okay, why would there have been a drop from the 4 to 3 billion?
In the last 4 to 5 years, there have been some adjustments in the program, mostly from an administrative or bureaucratic point of view. There have been some adjustments into the actual tabulations of the claims, making them a little bit less generous. But in general, the government did take on some initiatives to remove fraud from the program, which is a good thing that we wholeheartedly support. And they also put in administrative measures to make evidence a little bit more strict and quite a bit more difficult to actually comply with the program, even if you were eligible. So it was a way for the government to reduce a number of claimants. And this is a trend that can happen from time to time. And as a tax consultant, we always have to be aware of where the government is going and what are their expectations.
Okay, and how well known is SRED?
Well, I mean, there's about 28,000 applicants across the country, but it's ranged from 25 to 30. It's well speculated, however, that about 1/3 of eligible companies apply. So how well known is it that 2/3 of eligible companies maybe not be applied?
Now, is that because they don't know about it or because they don't think they qualify?
Well, there are some reasons why people don't claim. One would be that they don't think that they qualify, right?
Okay.
Or they don't even know about the existence of the program. There's also always a hesitancy to get involved with a government program out of some type of anxiety of dealing with CRA. And a lot of companies self-disqualify. They don't get a professional opinion. They don't realize that they actually meet the criteria of the program, and therefore they neglect to claim.
Oh, that's really unfortunate to count yourself out without even knowing for a fact.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is why our firm, Bond Consulting Group, always provide a free consultation to anybody who thinks they have a case. And it's usually fairly straightforward. It doesn't take that long to determine whether someone has at least the premise or basis for a case.
And if I understand correctly, your company only gets paid if there is a successful recovery from the government?
Yes, absolutely. We get paid on refunds that are approved or tax credits that are approved.
Okay, so it looks like there's no downside to checking into whether SRED applies.
No, absolutely not.
Okay, and have there been trends in recent years?
The main trend is, like I said, the trend on evidence. The government really takes to heart that this is a scientific program, and the tax court has supported that position as well. And therefore, there's this new model, which is the 5 CRA questions, which includes the scientific method and the development of hypotheses and all of these things. And this is a little bit confusing for a lot of the claimants, because the claimants are businesses. Right? They're businesses and they are trying to advance technology, but they don't necessarily in their mind refer back to the scientific methodology. But the scientific methodology is the preferred method that the government likes to follow. The government will be sending out, if there's a technical review, a scientist or PhD or an engineer. And they will be asking you to present evidence that you followed the scientific method. So this is the trend. Although that's always been there in the program, in the last 5 years, the CRA has been more demanding on evidence that's compliant with the scientific method, and that's what I would say is the most obvious trend that I've seen in the last 5 years.
Now, I'm an actuary. I studied actuarial science, and I don't remember a lot about the scientific method over time, so I can imagine the challenges a business would have. Like, how would they even know what to do?
Well, they don't, right?
Okay.
They don't know, and we often have to go into our clients and almost go back to grade 12 chemistry lab and remind them of what is due diligence, what is a standard practice, what is a hypothesis design. And what we've done at Bond is develop a tool. It's called SR&ED proof with a scientific name, but we also call it that because it's bulletproof. If you follow the methodology, the wizards and the questionnaires within our portal, then you will have the evidence that you could present to the government, because the concept that we've come up with is something like Eureka, which is also a kind of little scientific play there. Why not just give CRA the evidence that they're asking for in the format that they prefer? And then you'll have a lot less trouble with this program. Mostly what we see is claimants that they bang their head against the wall, they don't understand what CRA is looking for, they have a banker's box of evidence, they give it to CRA, and CRA says, I'm not looking at that. You know, that's not systematic, it's not organized, and I refuse to spend my time. And rightly so. Our program that we call SR&ED Proof allows the claimant to be organized throughout the year. So if at the time that they get selected for audit, they're ready to go. And that's a huge advantage.
Okay, now what sort of mistakes are common when applying for SRED?
Well, there are some that are obvious to me as an expert. I've been in industry for a dozen years now. One is that they just don't know what expenditures are eligible. We see this all the time. Companies think that a patent expense is eligible because it's related to technology, but it's not, okay? So that's just an example of a common mistake. Another one is that they don't understand the mechanisms of the tax program itself. The refund is taxable, right? So
what do you mean by that?
Well, the money that's approved is considered taxable income in the year after the claim. And so clients often get confused about their refund. But because CRA is in control of that money, unlike other revenues from your business, they go ahead and tax it themselves unilaterally and then send you the difference. And this is why it's very important to have an accountant or a tax consultant who can explain these adjustments to you. Because otherwise, in layman's terms, what can happen is you can get taxed on the money twice. It actually happens all the time.
Wow, that's scary.
Yeah, you can imagine what's bad enough to be taxed on it once, but could be taxed on it twice, and it is quite common. And other mistakes that claimants make is they don't have evidence in the right format, and that's the most obvious pitfall of the program.
Okay, well, it looks like the SRED program is a very valuable one. I didn't realize it had been around for decades. And it also looks like it's very easy to mess up in the process and not get money that the government has available to help.
Absolutely. You could be eligible and you could be denied. The often example I give is you can go to court and you can be innocent, but you can be found guilty, right?
Oh, okay, right? That's a good way of putting it.
And the reverse could happen too. You could be guilty and you could be found innocent, right? So you want to not take for granted that the government is going to find in your favor just because you happen to be eligible. You have to be eligible and you have to prove your case. And that's why more than ever it's important to have a representative who's at the table who understands the complexities of the policy. The SR&ED program takes up about 3/4 of a page in the Income Tax Act.
Okay.
And the policy fills up an entire website. Books and binders of policy on all of the intricacies of what those words mean. And so it's the policy expertise that you need. Even though it appears to be a relatively simple program, it is not.
Okay, well, thank you very much for explaining this program to us. Now, what's the best way for people to contact you?
Well, Bond Consulting Group is a very well-known consulting firm. We are in Toronto. We have clients all across Ontario. You can go to our website, bondconsulting.ca, and you can call us at 416-503-4607. And my name is Julie Bond. I'd be happy to talk to you.
Okay, thanks for visiting us.
You're welcome.
Thanks for joining us for Tea at Taxevity. The Taxevity Insurance Advisory helps you understand insurance and bridges gaps in your coverage. There's no premium for peace of mind. How healthy is your insurance?